Fred here. Welcome back to the Gun Geek channel. In this episode, I broke out the cartridge diorama. As promised, I said I was going to talk about different cartridges, and I am. In this episode, we'll be talking specifically about the 223 Remington. Now, because you're the best of subscribers on YouTube, I don't want to give you information from any old place, as far as just off the internet or Wikipedia. When we're talking about cartridges, the definitive resource or the definitive reference is Cartridges of the World. Any collector out there is going to have one of these. This is up to the 12th edition as of taping. Ladies and gentlemen, a cartridge that needs no introduction, that has proven itself for over half a decade, the 223 cartridge. The 223 Remington first appeared in 1957 as an experimental military cartridge, basically made primarily for the Armalite AR-15 assault rifle. In 1964, it was officially adopted by the U.S. Army as the 5.56 ball cartridge, otherwise known as the M193. It was used in the Selective Fire M16 rifle, which was based on the original AR-15 design. The cartridge was the work of Robert Hutton, who was the technical editor of Guns and Ammo magazine, and he had a rifle range in California where he worked on this. One of the requirements for the cartridge was that the projectile have a retained velocity in excess of the speed of sound. For those of you who don't know at sea level, the speed of sound is 1,080 feet per second. And this is something that could not be achieved by the 222 Remington. Working with Gene Stoner of Armalite, Bob Hutton designed a case slightly longer than the 222 Remington and had Sierra make a 55 grain boat tail bullet. So what's a boat tail bullet? Well, let's take a look. I'm going to get my bullet pullers, and I know I can get these things out. There we go. So let's take a look. This is a 55 grain. I'm going to zoom in here, and let's see if we can get this thing to focus. There we go. Check that out. So if you notice, it gets a little bit skinnier here at the end. That's a boat tail, just like a boat. There's your 55 grain boat tail boat. Let's take a look at the back. While we're here, we can take a close-up look. And you'll see a close-up of my nasty fingers. See if we get that to focus. 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 Nope. Alright. Let's get that in the frame there. So there is... I'm going to bring the cartridge up here. Or there's casing. Zoom out a little bit. So anyway, basically after Sierra designing this particular boat tail bullet, 55 grain, and slightly elongating the original 222 case, it was able to achieve what he was trying to achieve, which is the speed of sound at 500 yards. So let's talk about the specifications, specifically the bullet. It was designed and is mainly a 55 grain bullet, but you can find anything down from a 40 grain bullet to almost a 70 grain bullet. The thing to remember is that if you use a heavier bullet, like let's say more than 55 grains, upwards of 62 grains and everything, you need to make sure that you have a greater twist in your barrel. Just imagine my finger, imagine the grooves in the barrel sort of twisting around, and you require more twisting going on. You need to spin the bullet more with a heavier bullet to keep it stabilized out further. So for 55 grains, which is the original design of the 223, the Armalite AR-15 was designed with a 1 in 12 twist, but that essentially is the limit of the 55 grain and the twist. If you start going up higher than that, you want to come down to a 1 in 9 or a 1 in 7 twist. Now when you talk about twist, like let's say 1 in 12 inches, that means you have one 360-degree revolution of the bullet as it's going down the barrel in 12 inches. So one twist in 12 inches. So as that number goes down, let's say 1 in 7, you're actually twisting faster because you're getting a revolution in only 7 inches down the barrel instead of 12. So backstepping a little bit, a 1 in 12 twist is good up to about 55 grains, and the 1 in 9, 1 in 10 should bring you up to about 50 grains, and 1 in 7 should be good to go up to 90 or more. These aren't specific statistics or specifications, because depending on where you go and who you talk to, you're going to get a different story. And the only definitive way that you're going to figure it out is you bring your bullet of choice and your barrel of choice with your twist of choice out to the range, and you fire it and see if the thing is stable or not. The case of the 223 was derived from the 222 Remington Magnum and is 45 millimeters long. So getting back to the whole bullet here, like magic. I did mention earlier that the military called this the 5.56. There is some difference between the 223 and the 5.56. First thing, let's talk what you're going to what first. More important is that if you have a 5.56 rifle, you can utilize either the 223 or the 5.56. If you have a barrel or rifle that is marked 223, you only use a 223 in it. Do not use a 5.56. Why? Because the chambers and throats differ, between the 223 and the 5.56. And more importantly, the pressures of the 5.56 are greater than the 223. According to Wikipedia, the pressure of the 223 is 55,000 psi. The pressure of the 5.56 is 62,366 psi. So I don't want to see any of my subscribers blow themselves up or any of my viewers blow themselves up. So if you have a 223 barrel, don't stick a 5.56 in it, please. I would like you to stay safe and sound. So this wraps up the 223 episode. I'll go ahead and show some shooting of the 223 with myself and a good friend of mine. I'm not sure if he wants me to mention his name, so I'm not going to mention his name. And again, don't forget, Cartridges of the World, the definitive source of all things cartridges.